Meal prep is so important. It's helped me so much throughout my fitness journey. It's allowed me to stay on track throughout the week when I'm running low on time. And if you're one of those people who you don't have time to cook every day, then meal prep is definitely for you. So let's get into this meal prep. I'm going to try and get this done in an hour. Ready, go. Okay, so I start off my meal prep by preheating the oven to 350 degrees, and I'm going to go ahead and put all of my carbohydrates into the oven or into a crock pot because they take the longest to cook. So I'm going to start off with my rice. I'm going to measure out a cup of rice. And as you can see here, I'm using a blended rice, but you can use white rice, brown rice, whatever you have on hand. Rice is a great complex carb. After I've added the rice to the dish, I add a cup of water and a half a cup of chicken broth. The chicken broth is just going to add a little bit of extra flavor. And then I'm also going to season my rice. I add pepper, salt, and 2 bay leaves. After I've added the seasoning, I'm going to pop a lid on top of that dish and put the rice in the oven and let it cook for about 30 to 45 minutes. Now I'm going to go ahead and start on my beans. These beans, as you saw, were not canned. They were brought in a package, so it's important that you soak the beans overnight. And when you first start off, the water will be clear, but the next day the water will be black. And that water that you see me dumping in the sink is filled with the enzymes that coat the black beans. And if you don't soak them, then you can have some digestive problems. So after I've dumped the beans into a colander, I'm just going to rinse the beans thoroughly with some water to make sure that extra water has been taken off. Once that's complete, I add the beans to a crock pot with half of a chopped onion, and I'm also going to season the beans as well. I'm going to add some cumin, a little bit of salt, and 2 bay leaves. After I've added the seasoning, I'm going to add enough water to coat or cover the top of the beans. Once that's finished, I'm going to put a lid on this and let the beans cook on high for 4 to 5 hours. Now on to our sweet potato. The sweet potatoes are so convenient because they're already cut up and pre-cooked. They just need to be kind of heated through. So, to the dish, I add my sweet potato, cinnamon, and vanilla extract, and I'm going to stir that together. I also add a bit of water to the bottom of the dish before I place it in the oven, and this is going to cook for 45 minutes as well, or until the sweet potatoes are tender. Now we're going to move on to our proteins. So I rinsed off all of my chicken breasts in some cool water before starting to cut them, and now I'm just cutting them into bite-sized pieces. Cutting the breast into pieces makes the chicken go further, so you'll have more throughout the week. Once you've cut up your chicken breast, you should have cubes like this, and I'm just going to go ahead and season these. And my seasoning blends and all of the other seasonings that I use throughout the video will be down in the description box below, so make sure you check that out. I'm just going to make sure that the chicken is thoroughly coated with seasoning. It's so important to season your food, or else it will be bland, you'll be bored, and you'll turn away from meal prep. But if you season heavily, you won't be upset. Once the chicken is thoroughly coated in the seasoning, I'm going to add it to a sheet pan that's covered in foil, and it has a little bit of nonstick cooking spray on it, and I'm just going to spread the chicken out evenly into a layer and then place it in the oven that's already heated at 350 and cover it with foil and let it cook for about 20 to 25 minutes. Now on to my ground turkey. I have a skillet heated at medium-high heat, And as you saw, I sprayed it with some nonstick cooking spray, and now I'm adding the other half of an onion to the bottom of this pan. I let the onions cook for maybe 1 to 2 minutes before I add in my ground turkey. And I also heavily season the turkey. So I add a bunch of parsley. Sometimes the seasoning containers will have these on top of them, which will cause you not to get the amount that you need out. So I just take it off and dump a whole bunch in there. Don't be afraid to season your food. I can't stress that enough. Okay, now I'm going to add in my cumin, which is going to add a nice smoky flavor to the ground turkey. I'm not mad at the cumin, it just wouldn't come out. And then I'm going to add in some chili powder. Same thing. They should make the holes bigger on this. Okay, and then I'm going to add some salt into that, just a couple of dashes, and some rosemary. And that's all the seasoning for your ground turkey. Once all the seasoning has been added, this is what it should look like. I'm going to add a little bit of water to this, maybe about 1/4 cup, and then pop a lid on and let that cook for 15 to 20 minutes. Now, while everything is cooking, it's so important that you just kind of clean as you go. I find that it's so helpful because at the end I don't have a sink full of dishes staring at me. The rice is now finished. It's nice and fluffy, and this is what it should look like when it comes out of the oven. The ground turkey is finished. And because we added that water and let it cook, it's not going to be dried out like it usually would be. In this chicken, oh my goodness, it was bomb.com. It looks bomb too, if I do say so myself. And here are the sweet potatoes. I love the sweet potatoes. I usually eat these not only for my meal prep, but for breakfast as well. So now on to the prep portion. You just need some standard plastic containers, and you're just going to place about 1/2 cup of your rice mixture or your black beans or your sweet potatoes into the containers. Then for your proteins, I personally weigh mine from time to time. You don't have to, but I add about 3 to 4 ounces of protein into my containers. And once I get a feel for how many scoops that is, I just eyeball it for the rest of the containers. And then I'm doing the same thing for the chicken. Now for my vegetables. I just keep these vegetables frozen because I'm going to heat the meals up later on throughout the week, and I don't want to overcook them. And I'll season those a little bit later on too. Okay, so a lot of times people say that meal prep isn't flavorful and it gets boring, but one way that I like to switch it up during the week is I add different salsas and different toppings to my meats. So I like this green salsa, it's really good. Then we have the red salsa. And then I also sometimes add some, I was going to say jalapenos. I'm sorry, the clip cut off on me. But here are the final products when you're finished. Like I said, I'll season the vegetables with a little bit of salt and pepper later on. But this makes it so convenient throughout the week. I just pull these out from the freezer and heat them up as I go, and I'm able to stay on track. As you can see here, I switched it up and added 1/2 of an avocado to this meal to make kind of a Tex-Mex. Okay guys, that concludes today's meal prep video. If you guys found this helpful or interesting, please like, subscribe, comments. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you would like more meal prep ideas, I can definitely bring that to you with some different things that I eat, because I don't like eating the same thing every week, and neither should you, but to each his own. I hope you guys have a great week and stay fit.